Yo, what's up, guys? So today's video is going to be a little bit different. I've been getting a ton of comments and messages of you guys asking me, who am I? Wanting to get to know me on a personal level, about my childhood, how I grew up and all that stuff. So I wanted to make this video so you guys can get to know me a little bit better and we can build a better connection. And I hope this video and my upbringing inspires you somehow, because that's always the goal. So growing up, my family was filled with addicts. And unfortunately, my mom was one of them. And, needless to say, when you grow up with a parent who suffers from an addiction, you see things you really shouldn't see as a kid, from addicts coming in and out of your home to dealers pulling a gun on your mom because she owes money. But more on that later. So when she started getting into, drugs, I noticed things here and there went missing, I remember one time we had this huge TV that I was so happy to have because I was like, man, we never get TVs like this. This thing was humongous. And we had it for about 2 months. And one day I came home from school and it was gone. And I was like, what the hell? What happened to the TV? Like, what the hell? This was dope. But apparently, my mom ended up selling it for drugs. And, that's when I realized that things were very bad with her, and, her boyfriend at the time was also an addict. So that household was, extremely toxic, yelling all the time, cops knocking at the door every single time I came home from school. And, I couldn't really live there anymore. So I one day I called up my grandma and I was like, hey, can I stay with you? And she said yes. Luckily she lived down the street, so it wasn't too far of a walk, but it got me away from that environment, so I was extremely happy. But the thing about addicts though is that they can't hold things down for very long. So not too long after I moved into my grandma's, my mom ended up getting evicted from her apartment because she couldn't pay rent. So she ended up coming and staying at my grandma's, and I'm like, here we are all over again, living under the same roof. And I was like, I can't really escape from this, and it's not that I hated my mom. It's just that, like, I couldn't, I'd rather not see her than see her like that. You know what I mean? So, she stayed there for, a period of time, and we really hit a breaking point one time when she was staying with my grandmother. I remember it so vividly. I was playing video games at a cyber cafe, and for those of you who don't know, a cyber cafe is a place with a bunch of computers and you just play games all day or whatever. So there I am, playing this video game or whatever, and next thing I know, my brother comes in, and he's, frantic, and he's like, bro, we gotta go. And I'm just looking at him like why? Like, why we gotta go? He's like, bro, we gotta go now. And I'm like, okay. So we ended up running around outside, and the apartment that we were staying at, my grandmother's house was right behind this cyber cafe. So we went around the back alley, and I was like, bro, what's going on? And he's like, yo, a dealer pulled a gun on mom, and that shit hit like a ton of bricks. I'm like, man, I don't know what she's into, but for a dealer to do that, man, that's some scary shit. So he ended up calling the cops, and I swear there was like 10 cop cars, helicopters all over the place, man, and it was a sight to see. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. And the cops ended up getting the dealer and his 2 friends out, and one of the guys I remembered so vividly, man, he was just some big Samoan dude, and I'm like, man, mom, what the fuck are you getting yourself into, But the part where my heart sunk in my stomach was when we were all outside on the, in the front of the apartments, the cops and our family, and here comes my grandma. She pulls up in a cab coming home from work around 5:30 p.m.-ish, and she has a box of pizza in her hand, and she has a box of pizza in her hand, and she comes out of the car, she has this huge smile on her face, because she has this pizza she's ready to bring it to our family. And here we are, all outside with the cops, and her smile just faded from her face immediately. And I'll never forget that look on her face, her trying to bring some peace to the household, and it just wasn't happening. So after everything was said and done, the cops left. They took the guys. I was, terrified to stay at my grandmother's house because I'm like, man, these guys know where my mom lives, So I didn't want to stay there that night. No one stood there that night, This was some real shit that was happening, and it's like we don't want to die, So I ended up staying with a family friend down the street who was also my mom's friend, and I was there for about 15, 20 minutes, and then we hear this knock at the door, and my mom comes in, and she's just in tears, about everything that just happened, and now she wants to sleep there, and now that she's there, I don't want to be there, like, as much as I love her, like, I don't want to be there with her, like, I'm terrified as a kid, like, I don't want these dudes coming looking for her and some shit happen, and like, I love her to death, but man, like, I've never felt terror like that before, and she was just bawling and crying and, begging me to stay, and as much as I wanted to, I couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't muster up the courage to do it. So I just ended up leaving, and as soon as I left the house, I just ended up, bawling, and I'm not much of a crier, I know you guys see this, but I'm not a crier, and that was years of me not crying, and that was just a lot of pain and resentment. Just as soon as I left that door, I just let it out, put my hands in my face, walked out the apartments, and was just like, man, I can't believe this is what life has come to, But the thing about that night was that it really did change me, and I realized after that moment that I have to set an example for my family. I have to let them know that there's a better way to live life, I refuse to go out like this. I refuse to fucking be an addict like everyone else. I fucking can't do that, and that's when I started getting into music, and music, man, really saved my life. I started writing at a young age about this pain that I was feeling and all this and that, and it gave me this vision for myself, and for my family. Like, man, I'm gonna make this music, and I'm gonna take my family out of this, and I'm gonna show them that we don't have to live this way, and this was gonna be how I was gonna save my family. And that's what music was to me. It was gonna be something that I create that's beautiful and that's gonna save my family. And that's what I saw music as. It was more than music. It was gonna break me out of my shell. It was gonna save my family. That's what I saw music as when I started writing it. It was a lot more than just poetry. It was our lifeline. It was my family's lifeline. This was the way out of here. This was the way I was gonna do it, and I had no other choice but to make it happen. So fast forward a couple years from that moment, a couple years after that moment, my mom actually did end up getting sober, which was amazing. I didn't think she was actually gonna do it, but she did, thankfully. And to this day, now she's my best friend and my biggest supporter. But after that moment, of all that crazy shit happening, here comes my second hurdle, and that's family and friends telling me that I'm getting too old to create music, that I should get a regular job. Now think about that. Think about the people around you, the people that you love are telling you to get a real job, stop chasing your dream, and just quit. Now think about me as a kid. I dedicated my life to this because this was my lifeline. This was how I was going to save my family. And here I am having friends and certain family members telling me to quit. That shit hurt. It hurt me so much that I actually ended up almost quitting music. I was this close to just caving in, being like, fuck it, I need to get a real job. But this is what ended up happening. I ended up talking to a family friend who was an entrepreneur and owned a business. I went to him saying, hey man, you know, my family, my friends are telling me to quit chasing my dream and to get a real job, man. Can I work for you? And this man did me the biggest favor when he said, no, I will not let you work for me, and I will not let you quit your dream. Instead, I will give you tools that you need to succeed, not only for chasing your dream, but for life in general. And let me tell you guys, that was no exaggeration. This man has given me so many tools to grow my mind and just expand everything in my life. And it was so amazing. Like, he has no idea exactly what he means to me, but this man completely changed my life. After a couple years of him mentoring me to how to, you know, maneuver in my life, he was telling me like, yo man, why don't you make a song about your mom? You know, that's not something you really talked about. And in my head, I was like, man, that's not really a wound I want to open up, but, you know, maybe it can help some people, you know? So I did. I actually ended up making a song about my mom and that whole experience that you heard earlier. I made a song called All For You, and I actually had my mom in the actual video. I made the song, I put out the video, and I had no idea what this thing was going to do, but I put it out on Facebook, and it ended up going viral with over 5 million hits. Now, this is someone like, right, who's about to quit, and then this shit just blows up with over 5 million hits talking about my pain. I mean, that video ended up getting me on Fox 11 News, ended up getting me on the biggest newspaper on Orange County. Like, I remember going to Starbucks and seeing my face on their newsstand, and I'm like, what the fuck? I did that? What is that me? That's fucking crazy. And I was like, what? This shit's possible. Like, all I need to do is just turn that pain into my power and stop feeling so sorry for myself all the time. And it was at that moment where my whole career changed, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to own every single scar, everything that's ever happened to me, and I'm going to turn it into my superpower. And since then, I'm able to do what I love for a living, which is create music and create content. And it's so beautiful, and it's because of you guys, really, you know, being part of what I'm doing, believing in what I'm doing, man. You guys have no idea what you mean to me, man. Like, I sincerely love you guys and consider you part of my family for believing in what I'm doing, even when some of my family didn't. You know what I mean? And, man, it's just so beautiful to see this thing come full circle. I couldn't be more happy. And I'm doing things for my family now that I imagined as a kid. You know, like, I just took my whole family, like my mom, my brother, and my stepdad to Lake Tahoe a couple weekends ago, expenses paid and everything. And I'm like, yo guys, let's enjoy this weekend together as a family. It's my treat. And I'm like, what? I can actually do this shit? You know, it's just amazing that the vision that I had as a kid is finally coming to fruition. And I couldn't be more happy. I couldn't be more happy, guys. But to close out this video, man, I want to let you guys know that I don't know who's telling you you can't do something, whether it be family, your parents, teachers, whatever. You can do anything you put your mind to, man. Anything you put your mind to. And it's time that you start believing in yourself. It's time for that. Enough feeling sorry for yourself and all that shit, man. And this broken people community that we're building here, I feel everybody's broken. I'm still broken. I'm still getting over things. But everyone in this community is working towards being their best selves, becoming just a monster, and knowing that their past does not define them. That's what this broken people community means. But I hope you guys found this video, you know, a little insightful. You know, I know I kind of spilled my guts out, cried a little bit. You know, I know I'm going to have some family members looking at this video like, what the fuck? This motherfucker has tear ducts? I had no idea. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, man. And remember, stay strong, live with meaning, and die with passion.